Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I've posted an update about my WRX and what's going on with my car specifically. A lot of you guys have been noticing that in the comment section and asking, why aren't you making content like you normally do about your car? And yeah, so it's been a wild ride. Some crazy stuff's happened. Actually, it's not too crazy, but it's pretty disappointing and surprising. If you've looked at the title of the video already, you know exactly why my car hasn't been moving, and I'll tell you a little bit about the story and what was going on. So I was noticing for some time, well, if you somehow didn't notice by the title of the video, I ended up breaking one of the wheels on my car and the tire went flat, so I haven't been able to drive it. And it's actually been some time because it's been so hard to get the wheel because they've been back ordered. But not a super interesting story. I think where it is super interesting is that there wasn't a defining moment when the tire went flat and when the wheel broke. And I'll show you guys the wheel in a second here, but there wasn't like a defining moment. I was just doing normal driving and I just noticed over some time that the tire kept getting flat. I'm gonna roll a quick intro of the car so you guys can see exactly what I'm driving, and then I'll show you guys the wheel and tell you a little bit more about the story. All right, so cool, let's take a look at the wheel. Well, there she is in her infinite beauty. I love these wheels, but I am starting to have a problem with them because, man, oh man, do they seem to not last. Could be me. I'm driving in the Boston area, so who knows? I mean, it's a good looking wheel. When I thought I had the flat, I took the wheel and I completely inspected the tire itself, because these tires only have like 2,000-3,000 miles on them. So pretty disappointing. As you can tell, it's a good looking tire. Obviously it's dirty, but and I completely inspected the tire and I literally could not find anything. I wasn't thinking anything of it because I was like, oh, I must have hit a nail or something. There's no way something else could go wrong. And then I was like, maybe the valve stem failed. I don't know. I was trying to figure out a reason of what was going on. And I was like, oh, I should inspect the back side of the wheel, because the front side of the wheel is absolutely immaculate. So I was like, I'll look at the back side of the wheel. Let's take a look at the back side of the wheel and you'll see exactly what I saw. So I was scanning the back rim of the wheel to see if anything had happened, and I noticed a few pieces of scuffing, which got me a little bit curious about what happened. There's a little bit of rust from some surface material. And then I came around and I found this. So it is what it looks like. It's a little dirty here, but it is what it looks like. It is a major crack in the wheel, if you can believe it. Pretty gnarly, actually. So it's cracked completely on the other side of the rim here, all the way through. There's a big enough gap that I can put my fingernail in there, all the way up to this inner edge. So potentially even a dangerous driving condition, and somehow that ended up popping the tire. So I can't actually see where the tire popped behind it, but that's the only place that I could imagine. Regardless, not safe to drive on this wheel at all. Not something I'm even going to try to repair, because one of the reasons I love these wheels is they're super cheap. But long story short, I broke another wheel somehow. I can't remember for the life of me hitting anything. I'll roll the wheel around so you guys can look at something more interesting, because the wheel looks pretty damn good. Can't for the life of me remember hitting anything. Maybe a pothole, but nothing stands out, and it went flat over a period of time, so it must have just pinched the tire and just perforated the seal that keeps the air in. So pretty disappointing, but it's been like a couple weeks since I've been able to make content about my WRX, which is right there, and that's because I've been waiting for the wheel itself. The tire came pretty quickly. It's not the same exact tire, it's the next generation of the Sumitomo. Pretty stoked with these tires, actually, but came right away from Tire Rack. I think I got it overnight. But this bad boy, the thing that you can barely see because it's so bright, you'll see it in a second, is what took so much time to come. And you can tell that there are some noticeable differences since the last time I bought an Avid wheel. They've got the Avid1 AV-20 printed on the wheel, which I actually like, although it is identifying and maybe not the perfect thing for everybody. I actually think it adds a nice little texture, but you know, these wheels look absolutely awesome. The fact that I can buy this for like $180, they used to be $140. I bought this one for $140, but $180 for a wheel like this, not too bad. Hopefully we don't have any issues with this. Let's pause here and let's go. I'm going to go get these things wrapped. So I'm going to go to a shop and get the tire put on the wheel and then balanced, and we'll check back in a second. made it back from the shop. It was actually a pretty cool find. I didn't even know this shop existed, and it's about a mile away from my house. So absolute win. It wasn't too expensive. It was like 40 bucks, $45 to get the tire mounted and balanced, which granted is a little bit more expensive than what you're probably used to, but when you're doing one tire and one wheel, you can expect to spend about that 50, 60 bucks just so the shop will buy the time for you to do it and get into the shop. So let me show you the wheel because it looks great wrapped around the tire. Actually, pretty unique thing happened. I'll show it to you now. So it's looking pretty damn good. What was actually super interesting is they balanced the wheel, and they actually left it up on the machine because it balanced perfectly without any weights. So they didn't have to add a single weight, and they actually left it up, the report up, the test up on the machine, so they could actually prove that they had done it, so that I could actually believe them, because again, absolutely no weight. So maybe a positive for Avid. But this thing is looking absolutely awesome. I mean, again, I really like the lettering here. Thing is looking great. So let's get this installed, and while I install this, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about just generally my thoughts on Avid, because this might be one of those situations, and actually it is one of those situations, and I'll tell you in a second about, I might not ever buy a set of Avid wheels again. There's some reason behind it, but I love the fact that I can get this, like this wheel, cheap tire, cheap wheel, you know, this together is like 300 bucks. So that's a great deal. If you know anything about wheels, that's an incredibly amazing deal. But the last one cracked so easily, and I hit something before with two wheels, which probably should have damaged them, and those cracked too. But they're cracking pretty easily. So I think this is the last Avid, but let me start installing this and we'll talk about it. So that you guys don't ridicule me, the reason I'm using the OEM jack, which is almost impossible to use, is because where my tire went flat, it's too low to get my low profile jack under the car. So I've got to use this thing. Gotta have that hub-centric ring on. There we go. Okay, so the real question is, will I ever buy Avid1 wheels again? Because I've had to replace quite a few wheels now, and I have quite a few wheels sitting in my basement that have cracks in them. And, you know, I've always been a big supporter of Avid1 because they make really inexpensive early access, meaning if you don't have enough money to spend on like Volks or something, and you don't want to drop like thousands of dollars of wheels, you can kind of get into the game by starting with Avid1 because they're super cheap, but they are cast wheels. They're not something that's going to be long term. Like, you know, they do have the potential of breaking, like we've been seeing with mine. But, you know, the theory behind them is, unless you have like a critical event, like you hit something crazy, or you do something nuts, they shouldn't be breaking. But, you know, the first event where I broke the two wheels, of course, they went. You know, that's what I was expecting. The second event, with what just happened to me, I wasn't expecting the tire to pop or the wheel to break, because there wasn't like a memorable event that I remember driving and being like, wow, I just broke my wheel. So if this can happen where you damage a wheel like that and you don't have a memorable event like I just mentioned, are these a good set of wheels? And that's the question I keep asking myself. And I think that having had the Avid ones for two cars, multiple sets for many years, I think that the next set of wheels I get will probably not be Avid ones, just so I can try something new and potentially have a more reliable wheel. Not to say these aren't reliable, but I'd like to not break a wheel in the future. I guess they bend if you do something crazy and you have like a forged wheel, but I think maybe it's time to try something new, because again, I've got 3 of these right now with cracks in my basement, and I think it's time to see if I can get longer life out of something forged, even though these are so inexpensive to get. You know, just the supply chain issue of having to wait 3 weeks to get them for this car. This car's been sitting for 3 weeks. It's a total bummer. I wish I had an airlift, and I wish it was like one of the ones you can move around, because this sucks. And there we have it. She's on, looking good, like always, very similar to that one. I got to drive the car So my brakes crush all that surface rust. As you can tell, I'm out of breath. I just took the car down and tighten those as fast as I could there. Well guys, thank you for sticking through the video. We're definitely gonna go online and look for some other wheels. I'll take you guys through that process when the time comes. Probably for the new STI and probably not for this WRX. I'll probably keep the Avid ones for the WRX. But otherwise guys, we're gonna get back into the videos about my car because they'll be driving now. So look for some new videos to come. Thank you guys for sticking through this one and enjoy your day.